Welcome back, mamas. We are excited for today's topic. It's a popular one. Anytime that homeschooling is posted on our community page or on any of the socials, it's always a hot topic. So we thought that we would do a homeschooling podcast and just give you the ins and outs, what a day in the life looks like. And just if you're interested in that and you're kind of intrigued by it, here's some information to just show you what it's like.
To kick it off, we have a panel here today. We have 3 homeschooling mamas. Myself included, we do both. We do public school and homeschool, but we brought in 3 amazing homeschool mamas today. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, maybe how many kids you have and why you chose to homeschool. If you want to kick it off, Katie.
I'm Katie. I have 5 kids at home.
5 kids.
Yes. Okay. In the homeschool world, 5 kids is nothing.
That's true.
So I, it's funny when I talk to other people, so I'm like, 5 kids. It's like, oh, you don't homeschool. So, my oldest, who had just turned 5 in June, we were looking at kindergarten, and I thought, I've spent every single day with this kid. How am I just going to send them away 5 days a week, all day long? Yeah. And he was a brand new 5-year-old. And there was a lady at our church who had 12 children, and she said, have you thought about homeschooling? And when I grew up, there was the one weird family at church that had the high water genes, could not communicate with anybody. And that was the homeschool family that I knew.
Let's be honest, there were many.
There still are, and some days that's us. But so I did not consider it. My husband and I both went to school for education. We were school teachers, and that's not something we had thought about. And so she had just given me the little wisdom of, you try something till Christmas. Give it a try till Christmas. If you don't like it, anything in life, you can just try again. And the other thing she told us was that you're already doing it at home. You're already disciplining your kids. You're guiding your kids. Add a few math lessons in there and some letters and see what you think. And so we made it to Christmas, and now he's a junior in high school.
Dang.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anna?
Hi, I'm Anna Bruening, and let's see, I have 3 kids at home. They are now ages 12, 15, and 16. And 3 kids, I'm kind of a minority in the homeschool world. But we absolutely love it. And a very similar story to Katie's. We weren't educators. My husband and I were not educators. But when it was time for us to start thinking about placing our oldest in kindergarten, I was almost having panic attacks about leaving him with someone that I didn't know well for most of the waking hours of the day. That's what really bothered me. And then I also there were some concerns at the time about some things going on in the public schools, like socio-cultural things that we weren't on par with. And we also had a really, really active little boy, and I wasn't sure he would be really successful in that system. And we had parents as teachers at that time that would come to our house, and they kind of agreed with me. They thought he might not be successful in that system. So, but really what promoted homeschooling to us was a good friend of mine. Her name's Tammy, and she has 7 children.
Only 7?
Oh, yeah, 7, only 7. And her kids are rock stars, and she homeschooled, and she and I went to high school together, and I just loved her, and we did 4-H together. And she was like, Anna, you could homeschool. And I was like, you're crazy.
Oh, and you went to veterinary school. You did all of that, and you probably could be sitting a little bit more lucrative than you are, and yet you chose this route, which I think is so commendable.
Oh, well, thanks. There's a lot of veterinarians that homeschool. There's actually like a niche group on Facebook, like all other things. But I'd just like to stress, you don't have to have a college degree to homeschool your children. And most of my mentors that have gone before me or that I'm currently linking arms with homeschooling, either they don't have a degree or I don't even know if they have a degree, because that really doesn't come up. Especially in our state, we don't have to prove like a teaching certificate to homeschool. So that's a great thing. And some of my mentors never went to college, and their kids are getting, full ride college scholarships.
I'm Hannah Davenport. I have 4 kiddos, ages 3, 5, 11 and 15. Right, we're on the odd years. Katie and I talked about that. We're either odd years or even years. We've been homeschooling this is our 4th year. We did a year of unschooling before kind of settling into a program and curriculum that really gave us some boundaries, which I personally needed, and my kids
had done a year of public school, had done some years of private school, and so we just functioned better on routines. So I chose homeschooling. I think it's interesting because I find that moms sometimes their whys will change as you have different chapters in your life. So we started off, it was just a way that my kids would be home more with my husband when he was home from work. And we really wanted that because he was working pretty long hours with a long commute. And I was a kindergarten teacher that loved teaching, passionate about teaching, but all that extra stuff that comes with it was hard. It was really hard, and it's very easy to get burnt out. And so it was a perfect compromise for me. I was able to still teach, and it was interesting because it was a different grade every year. But I was teaching my kids. I was actually spending time with my kids instead of going back in at midnight to after I'd put my family to bed to get my classroom ready or, do grades or do whatever it was.
Your kids were getting the leftovers.
And my kids were, yeah, they really were. So this was a great compromise for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to jump into a few stats and then we're going to kick it off into some questions. So I was just doing a little Google searching, and the NHERI, they showed that homeschool or home educated kids score 15 to 25 percentile points above public school students, so their peers.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is impressive. Actually, the program that we're doing too, I remember hearing numbers like score in the 90th percentile on the ACTs, the SATs, if you're looking to go to college. But also, I found it interesting even with other races. So African-American or Black homeschool students actually scored 23 to 42% higher than their peers. So I think it's that one-on-one attention and, mama knows best. And so one other stat I thought was interesting. Currently, more than 3.7 million children are being homeschooled. So there's been quite a steady increase, especially since the early 2000s, when, of course, we all grew up thinking that those who homeschooled were the odd ones, the different ones. But it's really, really picked up over the years. And I think more and more, even within our own homeschool co-op, we're seeing a lot more families come in, the younger families really come in droves. So it has gained a lot of popularity, and I just think that was interesting. So to kick it off with the first question, can any one of you share what it's like as a homeschooling mom? Give us a day in the life.
I'll take that. Well, another reason we chose to homeschool is because I hated the craziness of mornings. Mm-hmm. Growing up, it was screaming and yelling through the house, rushing to the bus or to the car, whoever was taking you. We do not start school till 9 a.m. And that's just something that we've started in our home or what we've done forever because I really wanted peace in my house. I wanted to wake up. I wanted to tell my husband goodbye. I wanted the kids to see him. You can do school in your PJs, whatever you want to do. It was really hard for me to go from my mind of a classroom schedule of 8:15 we have to do that and 8:17 we're doing this. And it doesn't look like that at all. You can fit in your dentist appointments or your eye appointments or anything that you need to do throughout the day surrounding school. If that means you're doing a math lesson at 7 o'clock at night, that's okay. That's why we're doing it. So it's a part of our life. And that's something we'll probably talk about throughout today is that school is not a certain amount of hours. It's not knocking out a certain amount of subjects. It's your life. It's part of what you do. You're learning your entire life. We're still learning as adults. You could say we're homeschooled, So what is homeschooling? What is public education? It's just educating. It's just learning. So a day at life, it looks different day to day, but if it's not relaxed, we stop. We reset and we'll come back in an hour. Everybody get outside. Everybody go do something. A struggle in our family would be with 5 of them. They're in 5 different math lessons. They're in 5 different, there's some things we can do together. We can do some history together and we can do some English together, but there's a lot of subjects you have to do on your own. And so I have found each of my kids learn better at different times of the day. And so I have one that he wakes me up and brings me his books in the morning and he's like, let's go. If I try after lunch, he's done and I'm done with him. So it's better that way. And then I have another kid that doesn't even start well until after lunch, after they've had a morning of doing what they need to do. And we as adults, as just humans, we're like that as well. We work better at different times of the day. Mm-hmm. So why are we putting them all in one class and at 7:30, we're trying to learn the same thing, the same way, with all of these people.
So then does that make you like do math with the kid that likes to get up early, do math with him in the morning, and then you're like doing math with the other kid after lunch?
Which you would have to do because they're in different math lessons. So I'm in 5 different math grades. So I wouldn't be doing just math one time a day anyway. And I've tried, okay, I'm going to do math with everybody first. And it just didn't work that way. It was more of what each child needed when they learned the best. And then I just learned it goes a lot faster that way too.
Okay. So is homeschooling for everyone? Is it easy? Who wants to take that question?
It's a loaded question.
I was just going to say that sounds like a trick question.
I'll take it, I guess. Hannah can chime in too. No, is not for everyone. And I just wanted to say that this conversation, I'm sitting with 2 former teachers, public school teachers. This environment that we homeschool in is a very pro all education forms. We have lots of friends and family attending public school, private school, in a variety of homeschool programs. So we just love education, and you just have to find the right fit for your family. And it may be a hybrid of some homeschool and one of those other forms, or it might be all in with homeschooling. And then when you start homeschooling, I think that's really the hardest step. It's not deciding to homeschool, it's you've made that decision. And now what? Because there are
now you're held accountable to their future, but not a big deal.
No pressure. No pressure. There's so many options. It's overwhelming. Like making the decision sounds hard. Talk to my spouse. Do we both agree this is the right thing? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you start, and then it's this world opens up to you, and you find out there's like 3,000 curriculums and 10 teaching methods. And that's when people kind of become paralyzed with, how do I do this? So breathe. There are a lot of options, and you can try different curriculum and different teaching methods, and you don't have to do it all yourself. Homeschooling isn't just teaching it all. She's laughing. You're not laughing at me, though.
I don't know what's going on in the background. There's like loud music playing.
Thanks for ruining my confidence.
And I think it's so important to know that you can pivot. Like Katie was talking about, do something till Christmas. I always told myself, you can do anything for a year. You can survive anything for a year, Hannah. Just keep going, get through that year, and then reevaluate. And I don't know how many curriculums I've gone through in only not even 4 years. So just keeping in mind that if it's not flowing well, or if it's not feeling like the right fit, reach out to a mom that is a veteran homeschooler to say, this is what I'm struggling with. Do you have any suggestions on where we can make a change, or where we can
Isn't
pivot?
that the best advice you could give and get?
I mean, that's what teachers in a public school would do too, or a private school, or anyone who's educating. If something doesn't feel right, or if it's not working out, you go to colleagues and you collaborate and you figure out a new way to try things. So,
yeah. And on that, I see a lot of people post on homeschool forums that it's not working. My kids hate me. Everyone's crying. That is definitely your sign to stop what you're doing and reevaluate. Like, give it a couple of days, and then you're like, okay, we're still crying. Stop.
I think there's some personalities that might not fit, and there's some women, and I think it's okay out there if you're listening that you say, hey, it's just not for me. I don't think you need to feel bad one bit. No. I just think you need to make sure that, the school, their values and what they're teaching is in line with what you and your husband are in line with, and that's good enough. There's private schools. There's so many options out there. So this is not a push that everyone needs to do it, because it is hard. And if you commit to it, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's worth it if that's what you choose to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you keep the kids from fighting? I think that it's probably just, I'm probably just not made for it. I love it. Ideally, like in my head, I want to do it, but I did choose private school because I wanted the Christian education. They have the same curriculum and stuff. But my kids, I think someone would die by the end of the year. Like there'd be like drag out fights. Do you guys have that issue? Like, are your kids fighting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Constantly? Like, or you lose your seat. Like, how are you saying the fact that you were just today? Like,
It's so disgraceful.
I think that, I mean, no matter where you are, I think if you are homeschooling or public school, private school, you are fighting. That's in our nature. You're in a home with your same siblings over and over, and you want them so bad just to be playing board games and laughing together and having fun. And they're not. That's not, you have different, like, we truly believe each of us are made differently. And so we have to really learn and teach our children, because they're going to learn it at home first, and then they're going to go into the world where it's all different people. Yeah. Everybody believes something different. Everybody thinks differently. And so we have to learn how to respect your thoughts and my thoughts. And so that's what we try to teach. But to think that we're not fighting is silly. I mean, it's happening everywhere. And when people ask me, like, what is the number one thing you need for homeschooling? Like, as far as education, I'm like, you need patience. Like, that's the thing you need is patience.
Attitude, honestly.
Yeah. And I truly feel, and there's men that homeschool their families where the women work or however it works, but the person that's mainly home, I say mom, but it's not always mom. Like, you kind of control the thermometer in your home. Mm-hmm. If I wake up and I am anxious and I didn't have my time with the Lord or whatever it is that causes that, it is such a ripple effect through the entire family. And that's all day long. And so, not to put that on you, but it is something that you should carry in your home and be aware of and know that if I can bring joy to learning, then it's going to help a lot.
Absolutely. Model it for them.
I just want to say the best advice ever given to me when we first started was just start with one subject for 2 weeks.
That's good.
With your children. I think at the time I had 2 homeschoolers, and this veteran mom said, take those 2, just do one subject for 2 weeks. Then if that goes okay, then add in a second subject for a week or 2 until you got up to about, your typical 4 or 5 subjects with your kindergartner, or a little less because they don't need as many subjects.
Or if you're somebody like me that pulled a high schooler out, a middle schooler out, and then a kindergartner out, continued her education with homeschool. I know you guys all 3 were saying, Nikki, just go slow. Like, do not overdo it. It will burn them out. It'll burn you out. And so I'm really like, those words are always echoing with me. And just like what you, Katie, said too, is you can make it fun. Yeah. I mean, there are times where you wake up moody or whatever, but there are many days where we sit and laugh. And then there are the days I'm yelling at them half the morning too. So, but it is always top of mind of just really strategizing and analyzing what makes it fun for them. So, all right. Okay. What is your biggest like and your biggest dislike about homeschooling?
I
like it all. I have no dislikes.
I like learning with my kids. I like being a part of what they're doing. I love seeing them have aha moments. And so I'm really excited. I was a kindergarten teacher, so I'm teaching kindergarten for the first time with my child this year, and I'm over the moon about it. So that's been a lot of fun. Not doing necessarily what I did in the classroom, but just it's bringing back a lot of my favorite memories of things. So that's probably my favorite one, is doing school with them and spending that time with them and like hearing their thoughts and how they're processing and understanding the world and growing in the world and growing. We're a Christian-based curriculum, so growing in their faith and their connection with the Lord too. Like, I love that. And that definitely drives.
Yeah. I just want to chime in. I think it is the best way to force one-on-one time with your kids. If you are a career person and then you come home and you have to make dinner and you have to scramble to get to sports and home and then, just do all the things and get the kids to bed. I find that this forces me to have one-on-one time, and it is pure quality time with the kids. And I don't think I've ever achieved that with the kids as much as I am getting now.
I would say the thing that's the hardest is like time management, which that could be the case for like any mom or any parent in any discipline and career. So I have a freshman, a 6th grader, a kindergartner, and then pre-K. So that time management, I think for me right now is is what I'm constantly having to be on top of and reevaluating and adapting.
Okay, my likes about homeschooling. I think my favorite is the families that we've homeschooled with and how we've linked arms with this. We're kind of on this journey together, and that's been so fruitful and fulfilling for my children as well as myself. It's really nice to know that you're not alone in doing all this, which is where kind of CC comes into that. And then I liked what Hannah said, so can I ditto that? One-on-one time with your kids. So the other thing that's really important to me has been the relationships formed with my children. And now that I have 2 teenagers, it's really showing its fruit in that, yes, we still have struggles, parent-teenage struggles, but we still have a really wonderful relationship, and I love spending time with my family, and they're my favorite people. And when we work through these teenage struggles, it still ends up turning out really well, and that's prayer, but I also think it's a lot of homeschooling.
Okay. For me, we had 5 kids all together. Thank you. And everybody always said,
Always
wait till
helping
they're
each other out.
teenagers. Yes.
Hannah just helped move the microphone over for her. They're like sisters, so.
Aw, I'll take that. That's a good compliment. I like that compliment. So I was really warned about the teenage years, and that's a really scary thing because all of my 5 are pretty close together. And so we're all reaching those teenage years together, and it's fun. I enjoy them, but I feel like part of that is because I know them. And so spending every day with them, I know what ticks them off. I know what calms them down. I just know them really well. And I think a big part of that is just spending that time. The Bible tells us to train a child in the way they should go. And it's really difficult to do that when you just get those last few minutes at the end of the day to be able to train them when they're not with you. They need to see me mess up. I need to see them mess up, and we help each other as a family unit. The least favorite thing, I just had it. And I realized, okay.
You think about that for a second.
Yes.
I'll
okay,
just say
perfect.
one of my favorite things
Yeah.
on top of what you all said. The community is amazing. The one-on-one time. Sorry about the dogs in the background. I love learning with my kids. I feel like I'm getting my education back and I'm connecting dots like I've never before because of the history songs I'm learning and whatnot. So I'm proud of that. And I'm showing them how to love learning, I think, at least.
Yeah. So my husband and I have ran a lot of Bible studies in our home, a lot of different small groups through different churches and stuff. And it's always night one. Everybody goes around the room and says why they are the way they are because their parents messed them up. Like that is literally the top thing everybody talks about. Well, I'm this way because my mom or my dad. So it's always been a fear on me that, man, but then I realized it doesn't matter. Like we're going to mess our kids up no matter what. They're going to use us as an excuse as long as we let them use us as an excuse. So I think the worst part is just getting in our head of like, am I doing the right thing? Have I messed them up? What if like I'm at the end of it almost with some of them? And so that, where I just had to find peace and just get back.
Yeah, because that can be a lot of pressure on that. I find that too, just moving the kids in freshman year and 7th grade year. Are they going to resent this decision? But I hope they know that it came from my heart and how much extra I'm doing. And I know if they don't know it now, they're going to know it in the future. So at least I think.
Yeah, they will.
Okay, let's talk about CC. Why did you choose this program? Can you recite or sing some of the favorites? Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to leave that for Nikki later. Nikki's going to do a little duo. So.
Okay, ladies, would you guys like to talk about classical conversations? The reason we're bringing it up, we're just going to give you an example of one of the many homeschooling, and I know they don't even call it a co-op, but one of the many homeschooling programs out there. So it's called Classical Conversations, and our home group is in Trout, Missouri. So does anybody want to kick that one off?
Okay, so Classical Conversations, or CC, is a classically based curriculum. And originally, Lee Borton's the creator of the curriculum. She started with the high school years and then realized she wanted to do like a middle school, junior high years, and then finally finished with our elementary age program.
Is it true it started in her basement? She
It
just
did.
started homeschooling her kids, and then all of a sudden she had droves of other kids coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point, Classical Conversations is in like 42 countries around the world. A lot of military families really enjoy it and utilize it because no matter where they are stationed or, even throughout the year, we are all doing the same thing as far as curriculum goes by each week. So they can just hop in and out of a community wherever they're at, and they're just probably like a week off.
So right now we're doing CC's Cycle 1, Week 10, Foundations.
Yeah. And so everybody around the world is doing Cycle 1, Week 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. So that's a wonderful advantage that families that are moving a lot, or military families too, that they can still be a part of a community. And that community is so important because of the relationships that you build. You know, you're setting your base in those foundations years, or those elementary age years that grow with you. You know, your kids grow together with this set of similar aged kiddos, but the moms grow together too. So that when you get to, we call it challenge years, but it's junior high and high school aged kiddos, then you've got these wonderful relationships and this support system set up for you as a mom, as well as your kiddos with their peers.
We've seen so many things come up in our group between moms, and how much support our group has done for each of these moms, and how much you guys have been there for me with Sadie's situation, for Lucinda. It really is a really, really tight-knit, amazing group of people.
Well, and for those relationships, but also for like curriculum, who's prepared to teach chemistry at a high school level? I'm not. But there are, or biology, but there's other moms that are able to step in and be like, oh, hey, look, this would be a really good resource. Or, hey, you know, we can understand it this way, or we can dive into it this way. Don't worry, you know, this is manageable. It's not over your head, even if you don't have a chemistry degree or something like that. So it makes it, kind of levels that playing field for moms, that we can each step up when we have a strength, and that when we have a weakness, we have other moms that can step up and then showcase their strengths. So classical, community, and a Christian education. So we are a faith-based community, and the curriculum is faith-based. It's kind of our slogan, or our catchphrase is to know God and to make him known. This is an amazing world that we have been entrusted with and asked to steward. And so we need to learn as much as we can about this amazing world that God created, in order to be a good steward of this world, to be a good community member, to be to go out and share God's word and Jesus' love with others. And so I love this curriculum because it really does emphasize that, and it really does encourage kids and challenge kids to know God and to make him known, to go out in the world and be a light.
As far as classical education goes, I think the way Lee Borton, the one who founded Classical Conversation, said it, she said it so well. If you think about, and this is the way that CC Classical Conversation frames it up, but if you think about a kid, they're born and then they slowly learn words, and it's just memorization. They don't know why they're asking for milk or food or more and all these things. They're just learning what they call the grammar stage, just the knowledge of memorization, words, more, thanks, no, yes. And then they move on from that to asking questions. We all know the toddlers up into the, probably young teen stage, they're all asking these questions, but why? So they call that the dialectic stage. And then following that is rhetoric stage. So and then when they get into the high school stage, they are beginning to do the knowledge share, and that's the rhetoric. They're going to share what they know and why they have a certain stance, or what they're trying to convey in writing a piece of any type of literature or exposition. So I just thought that was a really good explanation of what she shared.
So classical is that memorization. It's really holding on to those facts and that repetition that's building this base in your mind, that grammar stage. But this is just one of so many different ways that you can homeschool. It is not for everyone. But this was what worked for our family.
Just going to say that's probably what drew me to CC, was that the teaching lines up with the child's brain development at that time. So you're not asking kids to understand difficult topics when they're young, just memorize the basics and then build on it. And so I love that. And then my family, I come from immigrants, and my grandparents were fluent native speakers in Italian, and they had to teach themselves English. So for me, having some background with foreign language was really important. So we teach Latin at young ages to song, which is really fun.
That's amazing.
So I love that, and I love the focus on history and geography along with it. So those are the kind of things that really drew me to this program, along with what Hannah was saying.
So even kindergartners are starting to learn Latin. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I'll throw in real quick. It is a program for 4 years old up through your senior year of high school. And it sets you up. You'll have your transcript. There's dual enrollment options. It's very scary to think about homeschooling high school because of chemistry and all of that, trigonometry and everything. So that's exciting. And real quick, it is a 1 day a week, because it's kind of, well, how is this homeschooling? It's 1 day a week, which keeps you so accountable. And then 4 days a week at home.
1 day a week we meet at community.
Correct.
So we'll gather at one place that all those age groups will be doing some hands-on science, some hands-on fine arts.
All the messy stuff gets done there.
It's done at community. And then our challenge kiddos are going through their stands, are presenting, they're debating, they're researching, they're discussing, having those great conversations during that community day. And then, yes, the other 4 days of the week you're at home.
That's awesome.
And there's lunch and recess. And I tell people year after year, we are paying for lunch and recess. That's why my kids are here.
Right?
Well, and our kids, that's their time to, form those relationships and those friends. And that's so important to them. That's what gets them out of bed early on our community day.
And small classrooms. So they are, with only 5 to 8 other kids doing hard things together. And I think it really helps them learn. Okay, real quick, if anybody wants to, I'll get started. I wanted to share a couple of the homeschooling songs. So this is one of the songs my daughter learned when she was a 4-year-old, when we just got started last year in CC. So here we go. In 1776, join in if you join. In 1776, colonists disguised as Mohawks dumped tea from the British East India Company into the Boston Harbor.
We may need to do that again. I wasn't saying the words right. So.
You're okay.
It's fine.
Do you have maybe one more song?
I love the Greek gods, Roman gods. And real quick, I love that because when I first started, I was like, why are we teaching our kids about Greek gods and Roman gods? I'm doing a Christian education. And I learned really quick, I want my kids to have a world education, And so that's what it's, and I'm like, I have to teach them about our world. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So do you guys remember that one? We could sing
Roman gods.
Zeus,
Jupiter, Hera, Juno, Ares, Mars, Aphrodite, Venus, Hermes, Mercury, Athena, Minerva, Poseidon, Neptune.
Yeah. All right. I can do one or two.
Yeah, do one.
I can do I think I can do an ancient world, or I can do U.S. history.
Do ancient world, since I already did Boston.
Okay. I hope I don't mess it up. That we love the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So I had my kids
try to sing it with
review that one with me. All right. The 7 wonders of the ancient world are pyramids of Giza, hanging gardens of Babylon, temple of Artemis at Ephesus, statue of Zeus at Olympia, mausoleum at Halicarnassus, Pharaoh's lighthouse at Alexandria, Colossus of Rhodes.
And then there's hair motions, of course, to everything. I need the hand motion.
Yeah. Can we just applaud you? Because you've been out of this for a while. I just learned that song not that long ago, so good job.
One of my
See,
favorites.
it sticks.
We had to review it. I was like, guys, help me remember all this. I was singing them out of order, and my children were very mad at me for that. So
that's awesome. Well, that was great. Hopefully that gives the audience an insight to what CC curriculum is like. All right. How much time do we have?
Not much. A couple minutes to wrap up the bottom question.
Okay.
Can you tell me, how does a family get started in homeschooling? Is it too late for older kids to shift to homeschool?
Absolutely not. I think it can be difficult if your kid went to public school and you try to bring them home for the fact of they've learned a certain way of learning. You're used to something in your home. You're used to having your kids leave for a minute. When they're home all day, it is messy. It's so messy when your kids are there.
We took an entire year off to unschool
Yes.
and just settle before actually like diving full force into homeschooling, like a whole year.
We are creeping into it because of that, but I'm already seeing just little things that I am teaching them just because of my experience from college and my career that I'm like, whoa, why are you so messy? Why are you doing it this way? If you're going to write a paper, you're always going to have your header. You're going to put a page number on it. Just little things that I'm able to do. So we're creeping in, but I'm already seeing how much they're excelling in writing, where I was kind of shocked by how far behind they were.
You learn real quick the gaps that were missed when you have them home, but then you learn like I'm responsible for everything. And so then you see gaps that you've created. My son went and got his license and didn't know how to put a signature on his license. We never worked on signatures. So yeah.
So in like 10 seconds, what's unhomeschooling? Does that mean you just don't do anything for a year? Like, or unschool? What does that mean?
For us, it just looked like sitting in my bed. I had a newborn at the time too, and a toddler. And we just did math and reading, and then everything else. Like when a holiday came up, we would talk about the history of that holiday, or we would have life science outside and just on our farm or like wherever. We did not have structured lessons.
Take what you think about school that it has to be from 7:30 to 3:30 and throw it out the window.
Yep.
Like a kid sitting in a chair all day long, except for a lunch and recess. You just take what you think that box is and just kind of throw it out the door. Now you can homeschool that way if you love that, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
So my advice on how to start is you're starting because you saw somebody do it. That's my thought. And so go to the person and ask them. When you do open up and you said there's 3,000 curriculums, there's probably 3,001 curriculums, right? There's so many of them. Find what worked for somebody else and just start with that one. That way you can ask questions. There's so many options out there. So what worked for your family? Our very first year, we picked one curriculum. We all 5 did it, and we did every part in it. And now with 5 kids, there is probably 20 different curriculums coming in and out because this math worked for this one, and that I could not do that at the beginning. So I had to find somebody that was homeschooling. What do you use? Let me ask questions to you. And then as I learn and get confident, then I can start branching out.
Yeah.
And there's some great resources online too that we can have you link with the podcast too.
Yeah. Just keep it simple, breathe, start slow. Don't feel tied to the rules. We want people to adhere to the state laws, but they're not too challenging in Missouri. And there are professional organizations to help coach you on how to do that. We can talk about Families of Home Educators, which helps families in Missouri. And link arms with anyone. If it's a mentor that's already doing homeschool, if it's your best friend and you guys decide to do it together. And
if you try it and it's not for you, that is okay.
Absolutely.
I've heard of many, not many, but I know people do that too. And so you tried it.
Yep.
What's the real risk there?
Okay.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Oh, did you have one?
I was just going to say there's tests online to be like, what kind of homeschooler am I? There's so many different types of homeschooling. So you can go take that test and be like, what would fit us? And what do I want out of homeschooling? Start there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We could do like a whole 10-part series podcast on how to start. Like that's a lot, but I would be willing to meet with anybody in the area.
Next Mama's Night Out is going to be like a homeschool night.
Yay.
Oh, we should invite people. We could do that. We could have our group here and then invite people from the community. So if you're local to Lincoln County, St. Charles County, Warren County, stay tuned. So you guys are amazing. I am so thankful that I made the switch. It is a little bit harder than I thought it would be, but I can already see, if you live by, you reap what you sow. The hard work will pay off in due season, and the days are long, but the years are short. So I complain to Eric sometimes, but every time I'm like, no, I know it's the right thing to do. And we're still just a few months in, and I'm already loving it. And I especially love you girls in this community. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah,
Okay, I have one last quick question for everyone. What are you ladies having for dinner tonight?
They knew this was coming. They cheated.
We're having leftover soup.
Nice.
Is it soup season, Hannah?
Yes, it is.
I heard that from your kid the other day.
I love soups, and my husband, my whole family loves soups, but sometimes he's like, listen, we love soups, but we ain't loving them that much. Can we get some other things, something else than soup?
Hannah, can you tell her in 10 seconds what your mission is until next year with what you're doing with your grocery
Oh, I do a pantry challenge with Three Rivers Homestead. She's a mama over in Ohio, homeschool mama also. And she does a pantry challenge usually for a winter month or 2 months where she doesn't go to the grocery store. So I'm going to attempt that this year.
Hero.
Wow.
She's like, she's our homesteader mom, so we get a lot of good insight from her.
I'm supposed to make Instapot ham and beans if I can get home in time.
Why are you supposed to make it?
Well, I thawed out a ham hock yesterday, but I thought I would be a little further along than I am.
Thank God for Instapot.
I don't decide till about 4:30. So I don't go to the store with a grocery list I don't know. I open it up and I don't follow recipes. I just put together what's in the fridge. And that's how I shop. I just go up and down every aisle and
I do that
throw it in the cart.
Yep. I'm making spaghetti and I got a zoodler, so I'm doing the zucchini noodles.
Yeah. She loves cooking. It's crazy. I don't know where she came from, but she's like, I just whipped this up in 10 minutes.
Some of us love to be miserable all day teaching our kids, and some. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
What are you doing my time? I don't know.
They're miserable days.
Some of us want to be alone cooking. No.
Some are miserable. Some days are hard,
kidding.
but some days are like beautiful. I mean, but it's true. You'll get both days in there.
No, there is a huge part of me that I can see the joy.
Oh, and actually, Samantha had talked to Anna, right?
Yes, we talked a lot,
about potentially
actually.
doing this.
I'm telling the truth.
I think
a couple years ago.
I'm pretty sure I talked her out of homeschooling in my
No, you did
spiel.
not. No, my husband, I came home and I was like, I really want to do this. I was so excited. And he was like, honey, I love you.
Hand
You're
on the
gonna
thigh
go
moment.
I like you sane though. And, and you won't be.
And
I'll
had good
be.
dinners every night.
He was just like, I can't no.
And there's something to that. Like, I truly feel if God wants it for your family in anything, he's going to put it on both your hearts.
Right.
Like, I see women so many times, I want to adopt a kid, but the husband's like, we're not there. And you need to make sure you're praying together and that you're both on the same page, and it'll be a lot more successful than when you
And think the
You make
Lord
decisions
he did
without him.
because had I been in homeschooling, Aligned Mommas would have never happened. Like you approached me, I'd have been like, I'm drowning. I can't. Sorry. So it is. There is wisdom in listening. So I love the homestead life, though. You know, the gardening, all that type of thing. So
Well, and you found a private school for your kids too. So you found something that really worked for you, that you felt God wanted you guys at. And I know you guys have been very successful there. So I'm having tostados with canned chicken. Samantha showed me how to make really good canned chicken. So that's what we're having. So ladies, you're amazing. I know this is quick. If you're listening and this provided you wisdom and guidance and you'd like to learn more about homeschooling, let us know. We can do a follow-up conversation. We'll stick to that mom's night out, though. I think that would be a great thing to plan. So give us your feedback. Share this with a friend if you know somebody out there that might be interested in homeschooling, or maybe they're just a critic to it and you're like, hey, it's not so bad. And no, it's not for everyone, but check this out. Feel free to share that. And as always, thank you so very much for listening to our podcast.
see you next time, mamas.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Katie. Okay, do it again. No, this is terrible.